Coming up next on Tiempo, he's going to love this too. Comic book heroine La Borinqueña makes her debut at Comic-Con later this month. Several new action figures. Time to catch up once again with the creator of La Borinqueña, Edgardo Miranda-Rodriguez, and we'll get a sneak peek at the new action figures. Stay with us. Welcome back. Our favorite comic book heroine, La Borinqueña, gets count them, 4 original action figures and 1 action doll. The Boricua heroine action figure will make her debut at Comic-Con later this week at the Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan, and really just in time for the holidays. The heroine also gets a new hardcover book, La Borinqueña Volume 1, and a portion of the book's sales will go to charity. Joining us now once again, our good friend Edgardo Miranda-Rodriguez, the creator of La Borinqueña. Good to have you back on the show, my friend.
Great to have you. I need to take you on the road. You're like the best intro ever, man.
You got to have some energy, right?
Dale.
People need to be excited about this.
I know.
The action figures, when you told me about it, I'm not surprised, because how many superheroes have an action figure? So my question, and don't take this the wrong way, is what took so long? I mean, I would think this was like one of the first things that would happen.
Well, I'm a nerd, so that was like the first thing I wanted, was an action figure.
Right.
This has been a 5-year project, and we're debuting it this week at the New York Comic Con. I'm super excited because not only is it a set inspired by the superheroes from our comics, but it's the first action figure set of all Latino characters.
Wow.
It's never existed in toy culture and in superhero culture at all.
Okay, so educate me. What goes into creating an action figure and making the collector set a reality? I mean, I'm sure you had it up here,
right? But
getting it through production, what does that entail?
Well, first you have to have the characters. So the characters literally came from the pages of our graphic novels.
Yes.
And based on those characters, the toy designers rendered 360-degree images in 3D software to kind of conceptualize what the figure will look like.
Okay.
Once all of that is approved, it goes into production. We look at color and paint samples, and then after time, we get them shipped from China.
Boss Fight Studio, that's the name of the company that does the manufacturing. So do they come to you for final approval, or you go to them and say,
they came to us,
good?
and they sent us these production samples, literally from the production line, and we look at the colors. Sometimes the colors may be off, a little too dark, a little too light, and then once we gave them the final notes, they send it to production, and boom, and we have the magical set in front of us now.
And we should point out, it's La Borinqueña, Luz.
It's La Borinqueña, Luz La Luminosa, who's a Dominican superhero, Oro el Coqui Dorado, created by my 9-year-old son.
That's beautiful.
And our first villain, La Gárgola. And if you know anything about urban legends in Puerto Rico, we created La Chupacabra, but we also have La Gárgola from Barceloneta.
Yes.
So that's what inspired us to create our supervillain.
Okay. Now, these will be sold individually or as a set?
So we're selling them on our website as a box set. And at the New York Comic Con, we're also selling it as a box set because it's going to boost our fundraising for our charity work in Puerto Rico.
¿Cuánto cuesta?
So $200 for the whole set. And this is also a very limited edition. Once the set is sold out, it's done. These are not going into production.
You want to give me a number on limited?
We only printed about 1,000.
Okay.
And I'm only selling 200 through our actual website and at New York Comic Con.
Okay. And then there's a new hardcover novel, and I think I got it right, but help me. What's in the novel is not really new, but it's the first time that you have it packaged all together.
So we've been getting a lot of support from libraries across the United States. As a matter of fact, the Smithsonian just reached out to us and are going to include the hardcover into their permanent collection.
That's beautiful.
And it collects the first 4 books that we've actually published. It's actually a complete story arc. We've been telling these stories for 8 years, and readers who are learning about us for the first time can actually read the entire La Borinqueña
From
adventure.
soup to nuts.
From soup to nuts. Or from sancocho to pan de agua.
To mofongo. But the first one, what year? 2018?
2016.
2016.
That's when I was first here.
Yes.
We first started talking about La Borinqueña at the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Okay, and then the next one was 22 years later, volume 2?
Yep.
And then you have 3 and 4, and now all of them are in
all
the hardcover.
4 books are together. We also got 5 original short stories that are in there, a beautiful cover artwork by Ariel Jesus Colon. And it's just an opportunity also to have our books available for libraries across the United States. Hardcovers are great for shelves and for collections.
Does the story arc continue? I mean, you say volume 1, which makes me wondering, all right, ultimately down the road, will there be volume 2?
They actually do continue. The story continues in the new superheroes we've created. All of the stories are connected as part of our larger canon. Oro el Coquito Dorado was our first spin-off. He has his own solo book. Luz La Luminosa is our second solo book. And these stories are all connected. These characters are all connected to the larger story, La Borinqueña. And La Borinqueña also appears in all of these additional stories with new characters.
Okay. Much of the proceeds that are raised here goes to charity. We're going to talk about that when we come back because that's a big part of this. So coming up next on Tiempo, more with Edgardo Miranda-Rodriguez, creator of La Borinqueña, now an action figure and an action doll. Still ahead on Tiempo, it's a jam-packed show. Details on a photo exhibit, Historias, the stories behind the images. Several Latino photographers captured those images that document life in Sobro, the South Bronx, in the late 70s and 80s. You've got to see that when we come back. Welcome back to Tiempo. Our favorite comic book heroine, La Borinqueña, gets 4 original action figures and 1 action doll. The Boricua heroine action figure makes her debut at Comic-Con. Actually, she's here on Tiempo first. But later in the week, that's right, she's at the Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan and just in time for the holidays. The heroine also gets, by the way, and you're going to love this, a new hardcover book, La Borinqueña Volume 1, and a portion of the book sales will go to charity. Joining us now, Edgardo Miranda-Rodriguez, the creator of La Borinqueña. I wanted to ask you about the charity work because this is the only graphic novel series dedicated to philanthropic work in Puerto Rico. Give me an indication of how much the proceeds have been since you started that initiative and where that money goes and who gets the benefit of that.
So far, we've awarded over $200,000 in grants to nonprofits across Puerto Rico. About 18 nonprofits from Culebra to Macau, all across Puerto Rico, we have been supporting nonprofits. These grants support organizations that are on the ground doing heroic work. Heroic work that actually also inspires me to write my stories.
Pero heroic work such as?
Sustainable farming, arts education, women's health and reproductive rights, climate justice.
I would think recovery from Hurricane Maria.
But much more in a sustainable way because the recovery efforts is something such a bigger issue.
Yes.
So we've been able to find nonprofits that are doing incredible work. We learn about their work and then we award them grants to continue the work that they're already doing. But our approach is called decolonizing philanthropy, where they teach us and we support the work they're already doing.
But you have final approval.
Always, yeah. We get these ideas that based on the work they're already doing, and we review it, and then we'll notify them that we're going to give them our award. We call our program the La Borinqueña Grant Award. We name it after our superhero.
And the money goes, and then it's up to them to keep using the money and to do what they do.
And they keep in touch with us. They invite us every time we visit Puerto Rico to learn about the work they're doing. We have 2 sons, so our sons are learning about Puerto Rico through this activism, through this service model that these organizations provide. And for me as a father, it's something that's phenomenal to have this experience for my sons and my family.
You mentioned it earlier that the hardcover book will be on permanent display or permanent at the Smithsonian, but I thought you already had something there.
Right. So the first issue of La Borinqueña, which is our soft cover, was inducted into the permanent collection in 2016 when the first book was published. But this hardcover is the volume that collects our 4 books. That they just recently reached out to us and asked us if we would mind including it in their permanent collection. It's incredible to have such institutional credibility and institutional endorsement as a Smithsonian.
Does that help you advance the cause, if you will, or the character development?
I believe so, because, you know, comic books are commercial art, and to actually have a comic book celebrated and received by an arts and historical institution as the Smithsonian, for me, it's something that's incredibly empowering, because it tells generations later, that's going to be part of the permanent collection long after I'm gone. It's going to tell them, estamos presente. And this is like my way of, like, como decimos, plantear mi bandera. I literally planted my flag for generations to come to see that these stories are there for good.
Comic-Con starts on Thursday. You're in booth number
2244.
Go see him there. He'll sign your book. You can purchase the action figures there. But if people can't make it to Comic-Con?
Can't make it to Comic-Con, go to our website, la-borinquena.com, and we'll ship them out anywhere on the planet.
And what do you envision for a family that buys the figurines?
I envision probably like the hardcore collector to keep it away from their children.
Of course.
They don't want them to mess
some closet somewhere.
But that's why we have the action doll, because the action doll is great to play with. You know, it has brushable hair with a cloth costume. It's toys for different generations. I'm a toy collector. I'm not gonna say that I don't let my sons play with my action figures, but I have a collection that que no se puede tocar.
Pero se toca su corazón when you hear that there's a 4-year-old girl playing with an action doll.
Well, the
La
action doll
Borinqueña.
especially. So many children have actually bought this doll and beautifully tell me, this is me. She looks like me. She has brown curly hair like me. She has brown skin, caramel colored skin like me. And I think that's very empowering when you have these figures and these stories that reflect a part of our community that oftentimes is overlooked. Let's be real. US Latinos contribute $3.4 trillion into the economy. And we contribute so much into content that is consumed by our community, even though it doesn't reflect our stories and reflect our experiences. So these characters are an opportunity to say, we have heroes and we should celebrate our heroes.
Presente. Have fun at Comic-Con.
Thank you, man.
Enjoy.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah, thanks for letting us do the debut of the figures.
That's right. That's right. Here's the debut.
Before we